In the video Understanding Science, there are many different deliberate processes that go into the way of finding scientific problems in the world. Science is always found in every problem in an everyday part of our lives. The ability for people to come within communities and create hypotheses and experiment, observe many different problems, helps the real world and also helps the scientific world by helping everyone be able to solve these problems as well. Science is a way of thinking and looking at different problems and seeing how the world is going to be able to solve them. There are many different steps that come into solving these problems and many different deliberate processes as well. It helps solve the problems in our everyday life and in the world around us. Without science, we wouldn't be able to know what is going on with our everyday lives, and it would be very hard for us to find any solutions to the problems in the natural world. Scientists look at every problem and formulate a hypothesis with a series of steps to be able to conclude if the hypothesis is met. They gather with other scientific communities to be able to test and evaluate the problems in everyday lives, and therefore many different scientists come up with their own conclusions about what is going on. Many different scientists are able to test these hypotheses out through what are known as experiments. These experiments are what help scientists be able to solve the problems in a more deliberate way than others possibly could. With all the chaotic problems in our everyday lives, science is the one way of how we're able to solve those problems. It brings order to these problems. Therefore, we must be able to evaluate the steps that are necessary to be able to move on with our everyday lives and solve these problems as a whole. Even though science is not the knowledge itself, it is the process of evaluating and gathering information that leads us to create knowledge. Therefore, we use that knowledge in our everyday lives to be able to solve these scientific problems. Many of these problems are real-world problems that happen in our everyday lives. Scientists look at these problems and are able to justify whether the hypothesis is met and whether the conclusion they drew is right or not. Without the ability of experimenting, scientists wouldn't be able to understand what is going on in the real world. Therefore, we wouldn't be able to collect as much data or information on what is going on. I feel that science has helped every one of us in the world, including me, in a really, really efficient way by allowing me to be able to test my problems in my everyday life and come up with solutions and experiment how I'm going to solve these problems and find the solutions for them. Even though there are many problems in the world that we are not able to solve, the ability of science beneficially allows us to be able to look into these problems and go beyond the human eye and gather the information needed to be able to solve these. Personally, I'm a big fan of science. I always have been, I always will be, and I'm thankful that it is in my everyday life. Therefore, I'm able to solve most of my problems in a scientific way or manner possible.